This is your tech news briefing for Monday, September 19th. I'm Zoe Thomas for the Wall Street Journal. Joseph Sullivan was the chief security officer of Uber back in 2016, when the ride-hailing company experienced a massive data breach. The names, emails, and phone numbers of millions of riders were exposed, along with around 600,000 driver's license numbers. A year later, Uber disclosed the breach and said it paid the hackers $100,000. To get paid, the hackers were made to sign a non-disclosure agreement, saying they'd destroyed the data. Sullivan was fired from the company in 2017, and he's now on trial for how he handled Uber's response to the hacking. He's accused of criminal obstruction, and he's pleaded not guilty. What happens to Sullivan in this trial is being closely watched by his peers in the cybersecurity space. Joining us to discuss the trial and its implications is WSJ cybersecurity reporter Robert McMillan. Hi, Bob. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, great to be here.
Bob, companies are hit with hacks and ransomware attacks pretty often these days, so what makes prosecutors allege that in this case a crime was committed?
Well, in this case, there was an FTC investigation going on. So companies aren't necessarily always under the scrutiny of the federal government when they get hacked. And the feds want everybody to know, to be on notice, that they're taking this stuff seriously. So the allegations here are that Mr. Sullivan basically engaged in a series of behaviors that ultimately misled the FTC about what was going on with cybersecurity at Uber. And specifically, they're saying he paid some hackers $100,000 to make a data breach go away, which is definitely a no-no. Now, Mr. Sullivan's side of the story is, we get security problems reported all the time. There's this thing called a bug bounty where we just pay outside researchers to report issues to us. And we felt that the data was not, leaked. We had control of the data. And we just sort of funneled this notification of a problem into our bug bounty program and resolved the issue with no risk to consumers.
I think the trial is interesting even if you're not super into cybercrime or cybersecurity. But, for those of us who are maybe less aware of how these systems kind of work, can you explain what a bug bounty is? Because I think that's kind of the crux of what's going on here. Did he pay a bug bounty or did he pay a ransom?
So in olden times, hackers would find problems with people's software or websites, and they would, just out of the goodness of their heart many times, try to get them fixed, or else they would maybe exploit them for fun or profit. There are sort of two ways people could go with this kind of security information. And a few years ago, the tech companies started realizing hey, we could incentivize these hackers to just quietly report these issues to us and fix them. But we need to give them some incentives. So in the olden days, it was like you get a t-shirt for reporting a bug, but hacking has become big business. And so companies are paying out hundreds of thousands of dollars now for security information. If you find a bug that's truly devastating to the Apple iPhone, you can make a lot of money with that information. So this sort of gray kind of business has evolved where people have, they're sort of poking around on your website, they find a problem, and they could hack in, or they could sell it to, a nation state that could then hack into this company, or they could report it to the company and make some money.
How do the decisions to pay out a sum like this typically get made in a company?
Well, there's no question that in this case, it was an unusual decision. So the biggest bug bounty Uber had paid out previous to this incident was $10,000. And suddenly they're paying out $100,000, 10 times what they've paid before. So this decision, we know from court records that it went up to the CEO level. Sullivan and the CEO discussed it. The payment decision can be just sort of an automatic thing. It doesn't have to be discussed at that level. You set up the program and you have the parameters of what you're going to be paying. And it doesn't have to be a CEO level call to pay, $10,000 for a bug. But this case was a little unusual. And so that's actually one of the things that the prosecutors are pointing out and drawing attention to.
So who have we heard from so far in this trial, and how has that shaped either side's argument?
Through the court case, we're going to hear from Uber's security team, the incident responders, the people that were dealing with this problem. And according to Mr. Sullivan's team, there are more than 30 people who were in the loop about what was going on there. We're also going to hear from the legal team, the ones who are interfacing with the FTC and making the decisions about what to tell them.
And on Friday, Uber CEO testified about the breach. Basically, he said he was hired in August of 2017. And when he took over, he kind of took a look at what was said about this incident, and he lost confidence in Joe Sullivan. He felt like he couldn't trust what Sullivan was telling him, so that's why he fired him.
Okay, the cybersecurity community is watching this case pretty closely. What are the implications they're worried about?
So the Sullivan case is really being watched very carefully by a lot of security executives because he's facing jail time for making a decision that I think they have a lot of sympathy with this. Like, you have got a lot of pressure when you're in that position. And the calls that get made, they involve a lot of people. We're talking about the CEO, the legal team, and the security team all in concert kind of making the decisions on what to say to the FTC and how to respond to this breach. And the security guy's the one facing jail time. So there definitely is a contingent of people who work in this business who really think that Mr. Sullivan should not have been charged, right? Because he had a hard job, he had to make a call, and they really have sympathy for the pressures he was under. Now, there's another group of people who say, look, it's obviously a data breach. When somebody gets the data and downloads it from your company, you got to disclose that. And why didn't that happen?
All right, that was WSJ cybersecurity reporter Robert McMillan. Bob, thanks always for joining us.
Great to talk to you all.
And that's it for today's Tech News Briefing. If you want more tech stories, check out our website, WSJ.com. I'm Zoe Thomas for the Wall Street Journal. Thanks for listening.